What is up, Hot Wheels racing fans? You're watching the NASCAR Nitro Series on the HSL Diecast Racing Channel. And today we're at Watkins Glen for race 2 out of 4 in the Road Course World Cup 2026. And heading into qualifying, we have a new points leader. It's Misty G after her first career win at Bristol last week. She now has over a 100-point lead over Amber Beach after the latter's DNF. And this race should be hotly contested between the two of them. Both of them looked great on the last road course race. And now let's kick things off with Misty G going up against the Owlman. Another hard DNF for the Owlman. Misty G smooth as butter throughout the turns. Now Amber Beach, much better qualifying run this time. She had to start 42nd at the last road course race, but worked her way up to a top 10. There goes Lucas Sattler Jr., locks himself into the race. And now Skeeter Davis going up against Gavin McSpadge. McSpadge stalls out shortly before the finish line. And the last time we had a lot of double DNFs in the first round of qualifying. And look at that skid mark. Navigates past the spinning wreck of Bishop Petty Jr., who jumps the guardrail and gets himself caught. Skid mark locks himself for his first main race start of 2026. And now we have Deuce Andretti and a DNF for Olukayode Osasanya. Meanwhile, it's Bobby Allison's turn to make his way down the track. He locks himself in. Great stall short of the second turn. Cautions out. Thomas Elliott recovers on his roof. Still a DNF where he went off the track. He'll have a tough time making the race if there's not a lot of other double DNFs once we get to the middle of the pack. Now we have Atomic Bob going up against Fuel Tank Frank, who just slides off the track there, as Fuel Tank Frank does. And RJ McCready going up against Violet. That's a DNF for Violet. And now we have Carl Recco going up against Gale Force. Gale Force flying away from Carl. He comes to a halt short of the finish line. More than likely he'll be in the B-Series race. And we have Skiddis Marcus. Takes the W over Baby Richie, locks himself into the race. It'll be his first career start in the main series. He, of course, has been a Nitro B-Series veteran. As we go through all four of Mark D's cars, who are one after the other in the point standings, Harry Hoon leaves Sloppy Bear out to dry. Now we have Crazy Ruby going up against Murray. Crazy Ruby stalls short of the finish line. If we have a lot of these second-place drivers still finishing the lap, she may have to race her way in. And now the gates are down for Remy 12 Gauge and JJ Smooth. They both finish the lap, but Remy 12 Gauge flies away with it. Same thing with Gator McCluskey. Absolutely flawless throughout the turns. Now we have Rasa going up against Donald McSpadge. They both finish the lap. Donald McSpadge, 28th seed, should still make it in as Kyle Petty beats out Cooter Smith. Now we have a pair of Uncle Elvis cars, Rowan going up against Chewy. That is going to be a hard DNQ for Chewy on his side. Rowan stalls in the middle of the turn. He'll have to race his way in the B-Series race at this rate. And now we have Sawyer going up against Thunderbolt Joe. And Sawyer flips over, recovers on his wheels. Thunderbolt Joe locks himself in. Terrible spot to land for Sawyer, though. As John Trent finishes his lap, Sawyer's got a ton of cars ahead of him. Riot Isaac now going up against Abby Normal, and that is Riot Isaac on his wheels in the middle of the turn. Terrible qualifying day for him. As Gaza beat out Racer Gnome, now we have Bubba Wallace going up against Tristan Racewelski. Tristan stalls almost near the beginning of the split track. Bad start for him. Bubba Wallace locks himself in. Po Boy and Twinkie Jake both finish the lap. Brings us to Kid Zach and William. Kid Zach crosses the line, cautions out El Recco. That's William on his roof and out of the race. Your defending stock champion. Yet another hard DNQ in this nightmare of a season. And now we have Lucky Jackson going up against Tails in his new car. Tails still finishes second there. He'll have to race his way in the B-Series race, most likely. As William Byron there beats out Vinny Nightlife. Now we have Karate Joe going up against Richard Petty. That's a close one, but it's going to be Karate Joe. And now we have the legendary Love Bug going up against Sonic. That's an El Recco for Sonic on his roof, a hard DNQ. And up next, a pair of Uncle Elvis teammates, Johnny Benson and Elias. Benson absolutely dominant, flies away from Elias by almost the whole length of the track. Now we have Puff going up against Johnson Jr. That was more competitive than I thought it would be. And so is this next contest here. Slick Fitty almost catches up with Cowell Petty. Now we have Morgan Shepherd going up against Jeff Bodine. They both finish the lap. And Kid Charlemagne going up against Marcus Skiddis. And the kid locks himself into the race. Now we have another pair of Uncle Elvis teammates. Zard going up against Sterling Marlin. Both of them finish the lap. Now we have Trick Dickel going up against Sparky Racer for Mark Russell Racing. Dick Trickle locks himself into the event, as does Gale, going up against Jimbo Rockford. Lost on speed. Nomeo locks himself in, and I was notified that Jimbo Rockford will have a new car starting with the next race at Las Vegas. And now we have Lazy A, who beats out Jabo. He may have to qualify his way in, and that is the end of round 1. We have enough drivers that finished the laps in second place that all of the cars you see stalled on the side of the track will have to race their way in through the B Series race. That includes big names like Crazy Ruby, and as you'll see later, Bishop Petty Jr. And the last road course winner, Thomas Elliott. And here you can see Bishop Petty, Rory, Racer Gnome, Gray, Riot, Isaac, another big name. And my apologies, that's not actually Racer Gnome, that's Sawyer zooming in there. My apologies, we have 3 different cars with the same paint scheme. And that's Gray. Rowan's going to have a terrible starting spot, as will Ted Musgrave, Thomas Elliott. We'll be starting in the back with some of the B Series back markers. Well, I really wouldn't consider Murray a back marker in the B Series. I believe he's had a couple of top 10 finishes, actually. And we're getting close to the cutoff. Tristan Racewelski and Fuel Tank Frank will be spots 29 and 30 in the B Series race, which means Rick Mast, as well as the 92 of Stacy Compton and the 17 of Cyan, will DNQ on distance. And that'll bring us to round 2 of pole qualifying. Misty G absolutely cleans the floor with Johnson Jr., as does Amber Beach for Sterling Marlin. Both of them finished second on their first lap, but got locked into the race based on their Speed Week seeding. There's a double DNF, the first double DNF in the round of 48, so the highest seeded second place finisher in this round will move on to the round of 24. Now we have Deuce Andretti beating out Donald McSpadge, and I believe that is the last of the second place finishers. Nope, Richard Petty, also a second place finisher, also another double DNF. And now we have Killa Kowalski going up against Jimbo Rockford, who actually is the last of the second place finishers. 2 Speed Weeks their way in. And look at this, yet another upset for Skid Mark. We're going to slow this down. Masterful driving by Skid Mark side drafts the heavier car of Atomic Bob to run away with it and put himself into the round of 24. The best we've seen him drive so far. Now we have RJ McCready going up against his teammate Skidis Marcus, and they double DNF. Guys driving aggressively, causing double DNFs, and we get a clean lap from Gale Force and Thunderbolt Joe. Now we have Thunderbolt's teammate. And look at that devastating side draft by Burt Buzzard. Abby Normal doesn't even finish the lap. Now we have Harry Hoon going up against William Byron. Harry Hoon runs away with it. And up next, Coffee Tart faces Jim Douglas in the legendary Love Bug. El Reco for Jim Douglas there. Not a good starting spot he'll have. So next, Remy 12 gauge moves on to the round of 24, takes it by a track segment. Now we have Gator McCluskey going up against Nomeo. Also by a track segment, Gator McCluskey takes it. And look at this. This one's a bit closer than the last 2 races. And Rafa spins out, blocks the track. That's a double DNF. Gale, I think, could have probably made it. Up next, we have Flip Gambino going up against Zard. Flip Gambino absolutely dominant. Zard stalls out in the middle of the track. Flip Gambino absolutely flies across the finish line. Now we have John Trent going up against Kid Charlemagne. Kid Charlemagne gets second on that lap. And it's important to finish these like Morgan Shepherd just did, because there's a chance you may still get into the round of 24 depending on how many double DNFs there are. Smart driving by a lot of these guys, knowing they're outmatched by speed, just playing it safe, crossing their fingers that they get more double DNFs by the more aggressive guys, like Johnny Benson, who blew his chance to get into the round of 24 by hitting the guardrail barrier, and Lucky Jackson Fly was away with that one. He's in the round of 24. And that was the last driver in the round of 48. We're going to kick things off again with Misty G going up against Sterling Marlin. Misty G, actually Sterling makes it closer than it looks. If you look at this replay, Sterling Marlin tries to spin her, almost catches up, and Misty only takes it by half a car length. There have been a few more track segments there. Sterling Marlin might have been able to pull off the upset. And Skeeter Davis flies solo across the finish line to move on to the round of 12. Deuce Andretti wins. Atomic Bob finishes the lap. That's important in case there's a double DNF. Killa Kowalski kills Skid Mark's Cinderella run in the qualifying. Now we have an El Reco for Cowell Petty. That car is fast but top heavy. Could have possibly moved on, but he's got to settle for a spot in the round of 24 towards the back. And Mark, these remaining cars all flying through the turns smooth as butter, as Harry Hoon beats out Kid Zach by about half a car length. Coffee Tart going up against Po Boy. Po' Boy stalls at the finish line trying to make an aggressive move for the win. It doesn't work out for him, and neither does Gaz's attempt at a shortcut. Now we have Gator McCluskey going up against John Trent. Awesome reverse side draft by Gator, beaches John Trent on the guardrail, as you can see in this replay, which leaves us with Kyle Petty and Flip Gambino for the last race of the round of 24. Kyle Petty takes it. There were no double DNFs. That means he's going to have to face Misty G in the round of 12. Still a top 12 starting spot is just what he needs. Coming into this race, still looking for his first career top 10, and well, that's not going to work to get him into the round of 12. He flips over, manages to land on his wheels, but that's still a DNF. Which brings us to Amber Beach going up against Gator McCluskey. Gator McCluskey absolutely flawless so far in this round, but it looks like he might have met his match, Amber Beach, already with a half a track segment lead. And Gator overdrives it going into the turn. It's going to be an easy win for Amber Beach. Now we have Skeeter Davis going up against Amber's teammate, Remy 12 Gauge. And coming towards the bottom of the split track, Skeeter Davis already with a 3-car length lead. But look at this. Amber tries to catch up. Skeeter reverse side drafts him. Remy gets tossed off the track, flips over several times, still lands on his wheels. Skeeter moves on to the round of 6. Now we have the 98 of Deuce Andretti going up against Coffee Tart. And look at this, Deuce Andretti absolutely flying away. Coffee Tart trying to make a move for the lead, trying to catch up. Tags the rear bumper of Deuce Andretti. Deuce is blocking, flies away from Coffee Tart at the last second. Up next we have Killa Kowalski going up against Harry Hoon. Killa Kowalski with almost a track segment lead before they even get to the split track. Don't count out Harry Hoon yet. Seems like the LCDRL cars do lose a bit of speed in that first turn, but Harry Hoon does drive off the track. Another aggressive Hail Mary that doesn't quite work out. And up next, a pair of veteran race winners from the modified series last season. Gale Force going up against the defending champion, Burt Buzzard. And Gale takes a car length lead heading into the first turn. And now Burt gets a little squirrely. Looks like he's about to beach himself onto the guardrail. Smooth sailing for Gale Force to move on to the round of 6. And that is it for the round of 12. Kicking off the round of 6 is Gale Force, who just won that last race, going up against Misty G. Does anybody else have anything for Misty G for the pole position? Misty with a car length lead over Gale. Coming out of the second turn, it's going to be Misty G making her car 2 lengths wide, throws a block, holds on to the lead. She'll be moving on to the round robin to fight for the pole position. And who's going to be her 2 competitors? Is it going to be Amber Beach or is it going to be Killa Kowalski, the LCDRL satellite teammates? And Amber Beach, who's won half of the races so far this year, flying away from her satellite teammate out of the turn. It's going to be Amber Beach, Misty G, and will it be Skeeter Davis or Deuce Andretti for that 3rd spot in the pole round robin? Unlike the first 2 contests, they're still neck and neck heading into the turn. The outside becomes the inside, and Deuce Andretti reverse side draft Skeeter Davis, leaves him beached in the middle of the turn. It's going to be Deuce Andretti moving on to the pole round. Can Deuce Andretti, who was in the 60s in his seeding, who's far outpaced those bad predictions on the track with 3 top 10 finishes in the first 4 races, can Deuce may pull off the upset on Misty G? They collide. They both lose a lot of speed in the turns. Misty G has enough momentum to cross the line. It's going to be Misty G or Amber Beach now. The winner of 2 races gets the pole position. The winner of 1 gets 2nd place. And Misty G with a half a car length lead heading towards the bottom of the split track. Is it enough for when the outside becomes the inside? Amber Beach gets squirrely, drives off the guardrail trying to make a move for the lead. It's going to be Misty G that wins the pole position. Who's going to get 2nd place? Is it going to be Amber Beach, who won bonus points in speed weeks? Or is it going to be Deuce Andretti, who's far outpaced his original seeding? The gates are down. It's going to be Amber Beach flying away from Deuce Andretti, trying to make an aggressive Hail Mary for the win. And her line must be busy. None of these desperation moves worked in the later rounds. Amber Beach is your pole sitter. Which brings us to your Nitro B Series race, set by Speed Week seeding among the drivers that finished 2nd place in their races and couldn't move on to the round of 48, and then set by track position among the drivers that stayed on their wheels but didn't finish the qualifying lap. And Lord Shank, who won the last Road Course B Series race, is your pole sitter. Also starting on segment poles is Jeff Bodine, as well as Tails in his new car, the historic Joe Gibbs number 18. Some other drivers to watch are obviously the big names of the series who are more than likely unhappy to be here, like Crazy Ruby, Bishop Petty Jr., and Thomas Elliott, who are all in the same segment, as well as J-Bo, Riot, Isaac, Rowan, and Sawyer. You can't count out JJ Smooth either. He's had several top 10 finishes this season, and he's got a front row starting spot in segment number 1. And now the gates are down. Lord Shank getting a push by Cooter Smith takes the lead. The rest of the field bunches up behind him. Cooter goes flying off the track but remains on his wheels. Lord Shank gets beached on the wall, still remains in second place. JJ Smooth takes the first lap. He'll have the inside starting spot for lap number 2. And cautions out, we've got an El Reco. This time it's Russ on his side and out of the race, and looks like he's got some body damage. We'll have to glue him back together before the start of the next race. And now it's time for lap number 2. And the gates are down. JJ Smooth with that one extra pusher, absolutely dominant, flying away from the rest of the field. Racer Gnome on his tail, getting pushed by the other Lumina stalker in Sawyer, takes that momentum across the finish line, moves on to the main event. Racer Gnome to the seconds race, and Lord Shank to the thirds. And now it's time for segment number 2. On the front row is Jeff Bodine, next to him Marcus Skidis, and behind them Ruby and Sparky Racer, J-Bo, Carl Recco, Rory, Tristan Racewelski, Ted Musgrave, and Gray. And for the first lap, Tristan Racewelski goes flying off the track. So does Rory and Jeff Bodine. We got quite the battle for the lead. Marcus Skidis leads the lap. Sparky Racer crosses the line. In second place, Carl Recco moves himself all the way up to third. And now the gates are down for the final lap of segment number 2. And this time Tristan loses control once again. Marcus Skidis gets squirrely in the middle of the turn. He throws a block sideways, a dangerous block in the middle of the second and third high bank turns. Sparky Racer takes the lead, beaches Marcus Skidis on the guardrail. It's going to be Sparky Racer moving on to the main event. Marcus Skidis to the seconds race. Here we're going to pivot the HSL drone to the rest of the field. Looks like it's going to be Carl Recco to the thirds. Somehow Tristan recovers and passes quite a few cars on the backstretch. And cautions out, we got a double DNF. That's Rory and Gray. Horrible points day for the both of them. Both of them looking to turn their season around and make their main race debut. And now it's time for your third and final segment of this week's B-Series race. On the front row is Tails in his brand new number 18 Joe Gibbs Racing Chevy Lumina. Next to him is Slick Fitty for Stupid Fish Racing, followed by Twinkie Jake and last week's winner at Bristol, Elias. And in the third row, a pair of big names from the main series, Crazy Ruby and Bishop Petty Jr. And now the gates are down. We've already got an El Reco on lap number 1. That's Rowan. Flips over coming out of the gate and cautions out. We got another double DNF, triple DNF, quadruple DNF. It's the big one on the first lap of the third segment. Cooter Smith on his roof and out of the race. Does not count as crossing the finish line if he's on his roof before that. If Tails in the outfield, he's on his side. We'll have to wait and see if that car is capable of anything later on at Las Vegas and beyond. And we have Twinkie Jake there as well as Rowan. All four of them on their wheels, a quadruple DNF. And now it's time for lap number 2. Crazy Ruby and Elias side by side. Elias reverse side drafts Crazy Ruby. Ruby tries to pin him onto the guardrail. It doesn't work. It's a drag race side by side to the start finish line. Bishop Petty eventually beaches Elias on the guardrail as Crazy Ruby takes the W and he steals second place. But hats off to Elias in the thirds race. I'll show you this in the replay. He has the lead coming out of the third turn. Seemed like his season was over just a few weeks ago, but it's turning around now with a win in the last B-Series race and the potential for a top 10 today. Which brings us to the placement races, and kicking them off is Jeff Bodine, Cooter Smith, Murray, and Ted Musgrave in the 7th and 8th race. The gates are down, and it's going to be Jeff Bodine with a brutal side draft on Cooter Smith, sends him spinning, blocks the rest of the field behind him. Jeff Bodine moves on to the 6th race, where he's going to join Sloppy Bear on the pole, Aluka Yode Osasanya Jr., as well as Tristan Racewelski. The gates are down. Heavy truck casting of Jeff Bodine gives Aluka Yode Osasanya Jr. a great push. Osasanya flawless through the turns, and Osasanya beats out the heavier modified castings. An absolute dominant performance for him. He'll be moving on to the 5th race, where he's got his work cut out for him. He's going up against pole sitter Ruby for Sloppy Bear Racing, and directly in front of him, Riot Isaac, a regular in the main series, who's not happy about being in this race or finishing where he did in his segment. And the gates are down. Unsurprisingly, Riot Isaac takes the lead, throws a block on the rest of the field. They lose all their momentum in the turn. Cautions out El Reco. Osasanya's on his side. Be credited with last in that segment as Riot Isaac moves on to the fourth race, where he joins a couple more regular series mainstays in J-Bo Sawyer and the last road course winner, Thomas Elliott. Thomas Elliott's got the work cut out for him. He wants to make it into the main race this time. The gates are down. He's trying all he can to get past J-Bo, but J-Bo holding his own. They're single file across the finish line. It's going to be J-Bo. That throws a block, wins the fourth race, moves on to the thirds. And we have Riot Isaac and Thomas Elliott, your first two super high-profile DNQs of the day so far. And now the gates are down for your thirds race. And look at that launch. Lord Shank gets out of the start gate. Lord Shank quickly becoming a road course ace among the B-Series regulars. Has a full car length lead over Elias. Both of them have won races this season so far. They fall into a single file line. Does anybody have anything for Lord Shank? Elias tries to make a move on the inside, runs out of space. It's going to be Lord Shank moving on to the seconds race, where he joins pole sitter Marcus Skidis alongside Racer Gnome and Bishop Petty Jr. Bishop Petty Jr. has got to be the favorite here. The gates are down. He's bump drafting Marcus Skidis, trying to find a hole. And Bishop Petty Jr. drives off the track. He's on his side and out of the race. Cautions out El Reco. Marcus Skidis wins your seconds race, moves on to the main event. Lord Shank takes home 5th place. Racer Gnome 6th and Bishop Petty Jr. 7th. Another big name DNQing from the main race. Now it's main event time. Can Crazy Ruby avoid that same fate? The gates are down for lap number 1. She's got to get through Sparky Racer and JJ Smooth, who's looked smooth as butter in the B-Series this year. Still looking for that first career win, though. And Crazy Ruby's not making it easy. She's in the main race now. The top 2 finishers make it in. JJ Smooth leads the first lap of the main event. Crazy Ruby will be sitting right beside him at the start gate, but she won't have a pusher. Marcus Skidis will be on his roof and out of the race. Can JJ Smooth take it? Can Sparky Racer form a draft and beat out Goliath on the outside lane? And now the gates are down. Crazy Ruby with a 3/4 of a car length lead heading into the fat track. And as soon as the inside becomes the outside in that first turn, it's all over. Crazy Ruby continuing to gain ground over JJ Smooth and Sparky Racer. And it's going to be Crazy Ruby that wins your Nitro B Series race. JJ Smooth takes second. They've locked themselves as the 49th and 50th starters in the Diecast World Cup at the Glen. And once again, congratulations to Crazy Ruby. Couldn't have been happy to be in this B Series race considering her track record. But she makes the most of it, takes home a W, and locks herself into the race. JJ Smooth making his second consecutive Nitro Series main series start after getting a podium in the B Series race. His season's on the upswing right now, and he should have a monster points lead once we get to the standings. And here is your podium. Crazy Ruby, JJ Smooth, Sparky Racer takes 3rd place, barely misses the race. Marcus Skidis and Lord Shank round out your top 5. Racer Gnome, Bishop Petty Jr. DNQs. A 7th place in this series is not what he was hoping for. Elias, Carl Reco, and J-Bo round out your top 10. And here we have 11th through 20th. Thomas Elliott, the last road course winner, as well as Riot Isaac, also DNQ. Fuel Tank Frank, Alukayode, Osasanya, Sloppy Bear, Jeff Bodine, Tristan and Ted Musgrave round out your top 20. And here is the rest of the field. Gavin McSpadge, your highest finishing El Reco, and Murray, your lowest finishing finisher of the race. We had a total of 8 DNFs out of 30 cars. Not terrible. Half of those DNFs were in one big one on a single lap. Rowan started in the back of his segment and crashed at the start gate. He earns last place. And here is your point standings for the Nitro B Series. JJ Smooth with a 136-point lead over Tristan Racewelski, who actually moves up in the point standings due to a lot of other drivers in his bracket either having a hard DNQ or locking themselves into the big race. Ruby moves up to 3rd place, a model of consistency, finishing in the top 15 every week and hasn't missed a B-Series race. Elias and Sloppy Bear round out your top 5. And Murray, Racer Gnome, Russ, Carl Reco moves into the top 10, a marked improvement over his 1991 season. and Nomeo round out your top 10. Sparky Racer through Cyan in 25th. We have only 79 points between 12th and 20th. Some of these point spots are up for grabs for anybody. The top 30 in points will get into the B Series All-Star race. And right now, 30th is Karate Joe, 1 point ahead of Alukayode Osasanya Sr. Here we have the guys in the 30s in the point standings. A lot of one-off drivers that had a bad day in qualifying, such as Crazy Ruby, made the most of it and locked herself into the race. Harry Hoon a couple weeks ago wasn't so lucky. And here is number 41 through 58. Rowan and Cowell Petty tied for last place. Both of these guys were main series regulars. They did not want to see themselves stuck here again. So I doubt they're losing much sleep over being last there, because a lot of these guys are one-off drivers from the main series who had a bad day in qualifying. And if you would like to see your car race on my channel, or you're just unhappy on how it's performing, send your cars to HSL Diecast, P.O. Box 7, Wing Gap, Pennsylvania. I'll always be taking new entries and replacements. And remember to hit that like button, leave a comment, and subscribe. We'll see you out there on the track.